Welcome to a new edition of Harness Central. I'm Harold Howe with Tony O'Sullivan. Tony, we're here at the training center at Classy Lane, and it's the first day of December. Year's just about shot. Congratulations, 3 million again. Not your very best year, but I would say pretty respectable. But what do you think?
Yeah, on the whole, it was good. You know, we like everybody, we had some bad luck at the wrong time, and a couple of our good horses didn't make it through the season. But no, you know what? The horses race well, and we kind of did well everywhere.
Your stable is a little bit of a throwback in that you've got 2-year-olds, you've got 3-year-olds, you've got raceway horses, you've got some here, you've got some in New York. It's a burgeoning operation. And I guess, how do you feel about it all heading into 2016 as the way you've got it all structured and so forth?
I actually feel pretty good. You know, we don't have quite as many racehorses up here as we used to. You know, most of the better ones have been in New Jersey for the last two and a half years. So we kind of had to rebuild up here and bought quite a few yearlings last year, and we've carried probably 80% of those over, and then we bought more this year. And so, you know, I kind of feel good about what we've got. We've kind of only kept the ones that we think can make money, and so, you know, it's been a process, but I think it's coming along nicely.
I wanted to talk about a couple of them, including Muscle Baby Doll. Now, she ended up just short of 400,000, 544 through her 2 and 3-year-old year. You didn't buy her for $5,000 as a yearling, but that's what she sold for. And I guess when it's all said and done now, you got to feel good about her, but how good do you feel about her career?
You know, she's a good filly. She's a very good filly. Unfortunately, we hit a little bit of a road bump around Elegant Image time, and then she made the only break of her life in the super final. So, you know, that was very, very disappointing. We left a lot of money on the table there, but she, you know, she went to the Meadowlands. She competed against the best, and you know, she's a good filly. I think she got tired towards the end of the year, as she's entitled to, but I think she's got the potential and all the makings of being a good age mare.
And her future?
She'll race next year as a 4-year-old for sure.
And right now she's
turned out at my place, and just get some R&R, and I'll bring her in the first couple of weeks of January.
okay. Now her stablemate is an interesting filly, Your Majestic. Now she was a $2,000 yearling, and she made $167,000 this year, 306 life to this point. Won the American National, and yet if you threw her name out to a lot of people, they say, "Who?" Yeah. It's just one of those horses doesn't get much attention, but you got to like the bottom line.
Yeah, she salvaged her year towards the end, and again we dealt with a lot of health issues with her all through the summer, and she really only got good right around the Elegant Image time. She never, I don't think she achieved what she could have achieved until the end of the year in the American National, where she probably more showed what she was. Definitely probably a notch below Muscle Baby Doll, but I feel if we hadn't have dealt with health issues, I think she would have made a lot more money in the Sire Stakes.
Right. Another one that it was an interesting, Mark III, came up third in the Breeders' Crown, is Mayhem Sealster, made 154. Not going to generate any headlines, but 154 to the bottom line. What's wrong with that?
Absolutely nothing. And you know, I think I said when we did the interview on the 2-year-olds that she was a horse that I thought was going to get better and better, and she always had raw ability. You know, she took a while coming, and it may have been a blessing in disguise that we put her in the grassroots, and you know, she kind of dominated them. And then she was in the Breeders' Crown, and she came out of the grassroots final well. So, you know, our owners and I thought we'd roll the dice, and it turned out pretty good.
And then there's Semi-Automatic. Now here's another one that was a private purchase, but if he'd went through the ring as a yearling, he'd have brought a ham sandwich. 147,000. And again, these horses people don't seem to pay much attention to, but geez, when you're doing your sums on your ledger, they all count.
Yeah, Semi, he was a surprise. He was a very weak-looking horse when we got him in September of last year. Trained down just so. Never did anything wrong, but just was okay. And then, honestly, the first time we put the race bike on him, I thought he was, you know, above average. And hey, he did really well. I mean, he really didn't throw in a bad race other than the Battle of Waterloo final, and he wasn't himself that day. And in the super final, I think he's still locked in. So he very, very happy with him, and I really look forward to him next year.
A horse you have in New York that is a battler, shall we say, that I sort of like, Casimir Jitterbug.
Yeah.
He's 8 years old, made 160. He's 800 and some odd thousand. I mean, God, if a guy could own one of them in his lifetime, that's a pretty good accomplishment.
Yeah, Jitterbug, he's just a good horse. He's just, you know what, he's a perfect horse for Yonkers. If you pay attention to Yonkers, those heavy hitters like him, they grind it out week in, week out, and we actually just gave him a month off. He just trained back for the first time on Saturday and get him ready for the cooler months. But yeah, just a good horse, a joy to own and for the owners, and an absolute joy to train.
And another one, just pulling names out of a hat here, Aslan, 102,000. Again, I guess I get a little hung up in these $100,000 earners because they just get ignored, but they're like sports team participants. They're character players in the game, and you gotta have them to look after the ones that don't pull their weight.
Yeah, he's great because I own him. So he's just a nice horse. He shows up every week, and he hasn't done as well as he did last year, but kind of raced just as well. Just hasn't had the racing luck, and I'm just proud of him. He puts his nose on the gate and he gives everything he's got, and he picks up checks.
And a decision you made some time ago was the purchase of a farm not far from here. In hindsight, how was that all proven out for you?
It's worked out well. Like anybody with a farm, it's a lot of work, and this summer we were really busy, so it was a lot, but hey, it's worked out well, and what I wanted to do was have my horses turned out there, getting them ready for next year, and that's what we've got, and so I can't complain.
The game overall is not getting easier to make a buck, and you're on the road a lot. It's a really spread out operation and very demanding. Is it the way it should be?
Well, I guess, you know what, it's the way it is. It's not the way you probably like it. I mean, it would be better to be able to stay in your own backyard and not have to travel all over. And, I said a couple of years ago, I think we'll be fine up here. I just got to ride it out. And it's not better anywhere else. I mean, the money at Yonkers is really, really good, but it's really tough racing. And Pennsylvania and whatever, their overnight money's not better than ours. They've just got more horse population, and the Sire Stakes program up here is dollar for dollar the best in North America. So, we really concentrated on Ontario this year, and most of the babies we're bringing back from the year before are the Ontario breds, and I'd certainly like to get back to having more up here and have a smaller operation maybe in New Jersey or even be able to race my better horses back here.
How many yearlings this fall?
A dozen.
And the total stable today numbers?
The total stable today is in the barn right now is 35, plus I think 7 or 8 in New Jersey, and a dozen or so turned out.
Well, Tony, I think you're in the hunt for Trainer of the Year. I wish you luck and congratulations on a good year.
Great. Thanks, Harold.
Harold Howe with Tony O'Sullivan, giving you the Harness Racing Edge.